Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is Bluefin Design and I'm Nikhil. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about design systems. So as you already know, I'm in the middle of a UX case study and the topic for that is language translation. So I am going to walk you through my design process from research and the different research methods and the analysis phase, and currently we are in the design phase. So I've shared a lot of videos talking about all the different actionable items and the deliverables in each of the processes so far. So if you haven't watched those, there's a link down in the description to the entire playlist. Do watch those and let me know if they were helpful. The previous one was about wireframes, so do watch that as well. I'm sure it will be helpful and you'll get some value out of it. In today's video, like I said, we're talking about design system, and we're going to talk about what is a design system, why to use design systems in the first place, like what's all the fuss about, some of the elements of the design system just to understand what it is and how to construct it. And there's one atomic approach to design system which I think will be helpful just to know and implement that. And we'll also look at how to build the design systems incrementally, and we'll also determine like at what stage you are in the process of using or building design systems. And towards the end, we're also going to talk about some of the successful design system examples in the real world. And I'll also share some of the most popular and most robust UI kits that you can use as a starting point. So please stay along till the end and don't skip the video. Just watch it and I'm sure it will be helpful. So let's get started. But before we start, if you found this content helpful and if you find my videos helpful, please share some love, hit that like button. It helps me and motivates me to share more videos like this one. Also consider subscribing. YouTube will actually share my videos to more people, hence increasing the number of members in our community. And also share this video with your friends, with your classmates, with your colleagues, so they can implement design systems and gain and get some value out of my videos. Let's get back. Let's talk about what is a design system. So there's multiple definitions of design systems, so it really depends on who you ask, but let's go through a couple of those definitions to just get an understanding on a high level. So a design system provides a convenient, centralized, and an evolving map of the brand's known product territories with directional pointers to help you explore new regions. This may be a bit tough to understand, so let's look at the other one. A design system is a set of standards or rules to manage design at scale by reducing redundancy, while creating a shared language and visual consistency across different pages, and not just pages, like different channels of the brand's presence. So I hope like this gave some insight into what a design system really is. So let's talk about why we should be using design systems in the first place. I know like you might have already heard a lot about design systems either online, on social media, or even in your company where you work, or in your projects with your colleagues or with your classmates. So the reasons why design systems are so beneficial and so efficient, the first one is, and I think this is enough in itself, with design systems, you can work and design products and experiences with speed and at a larger scale as well. So if your company or your product caters to like millions of users every single month, or your product is going to affect millions of users at a larger scale, using design systems to actually efficiently design your experiences is a no-brainer. And with the larger company and the resources they have, it's actually important to put the efforts and the time into building a design system. Second reason is to eliminate strains when you are actually working with developers to implement those designs and experiences. So when you have consistent elements and visual consistency across your pages, across your experiences, across your workflows, it's also easier for the development teams to kind of eliminate rework and implement those individual differentiating factors. But when you use design systems, they kind of reuse all those components which were just built one time. So it's easier for everyone. The third one is design systems create a unified language. So what this means is basically it's self-explanatory, but they create a unified language, a visual language across all your screens and all your workflows. So it creates more consistency. So point 3 and 4 kind of go hand in hand. The last one is design systems create reference for education. And what I mean by that is that when you create and use design systems in your designs, whenever you onboard new team members or new designers or developers, they kind of can get up to speed and educate themselves with the documentation that has been done previously when the design system was built. So with all these benefits and much more, actually, like design systems and taking that time to implement and build that design system is going to pay off in the long run. Let's take a look at some of the elements that build or that are used within the design system. So the first one, and we'll start from the bottom up approach as we kind of build the design system. You'll see what I mean. The first one is the style guide, and I'm going to use an example from MailChimp's style guide reference here. So you can see like this company, obviously this is a huge company, and so they have kind of laid out the guidelines to create those elements and the design systems which the designers or the team members have to follow to adhere to the brand guidelines for MailChimp. So the next one is the component library. And again, I'm going to show you an example. So this is like a screenshot from IBM's Carbon design system. And so you can see towards your left, we have this, or they have this detailed documentation about every components. For example, breadcrumbs, the buttons, check boxes, date tables or date pickers, drop down, and so on and so forth. The list is actually very long. So they have detailed documentation on how to design certain elements, and they also have the code snippets for those elements. So it's easier for developers to kind of just use those components from this component library. The next one is the pattern library, and pattern library basically builds on top of the component library. So when you use or combine individual components to form patterns, for example, like this is a screenshot from Atlassian's website. Atlassian is the owner for Jira, which is a project management tool, and Confluence. They kind of show a pattern, which an example, for example, could be like a header for a particular page. So a header contains the title, a quick search filter, and on the right hand side it has a primary action, a secondary action, which again is a button. So individual elements or components are kind of clubbed together to form patterns, which in turn can be reused on so many different pages. So we are building on top of the components and building patterns, so it's even more easier. The last element is the design system manager or the design system management team if you are working for a big company. So this team consists of, well, actual people, but ideally this like design system should be managed by at least one designer, at least one developer. Well, if you have a large enough team and specific roles, there should be a visual designer, there should be a UX researcher. So when all these people and all these roles kind of collaborate together to form or to build the design system and manage it actively, the entire team or the larger team kind of benefits from it. So let's talk about the atomic approach to building design systems, right? And in today's world, as the number of devices, number of browsers, number of environments continues to increase at a phenomenal rate, the need to create thoughtful, deliberate interface design systems is becoming more and more apparent now than ever before, right? And you may have already experienced this, like big brands and big companies are kind of putting in so much resources and so much effort into unifying or creating that unified experience across a breadth of devices, like, and screen sizes, like computers, tablets, mobile phones, watches, even like integrated devices. What this atomic approach kind of says is that we need to build, or we need to take this analogy from the chemical world or the periodic table, which is the basic form of chemical or any element is the atom, and then multiple atoms kind of form together to form a molecule, and then multiple molecules kind of combine together to form small organisms, and then even multiple organisms or individual organisms combine together to create a template, which in biology we call species. And then even those templates then can be used to create the actual pages. So that's the analogy. I hope I was kind of making sense. That's the analogy for atomic approach for design systems. In UX or in user experience, how it translates is that the individual atoms or the basic units are the individual components that we just spoke about in the elements, right? So when we combine those individual components, for example, like a button or an icon or an input field, when we combine those to form molecules, let's look at an example. So here, the example is the screen or the mobile screen for Instagram, right? So on your very left, you see some of the examples for the atoms or those individual components. For example, the icons on the top. Below that, there's this typography items, like there's different font sizes, there's different font emphasis, and then below that we have the description. And below that we have some images or icons, for example the profile photo and the actual photo that you upload on Instagram. So there's so many different data types and individual components. But if you see to column 2 under molecules, when we combine those individual components into patterns or molecules, we form the header, we form the post, and then the post itself is comprised of the post header, the photo itself, then certain interactive elements, and then the number of likes and the description. So when those molecules kind of come together, they form one post. You see when you open Instagram, there's posts from so many of your different connections, right? So that one organism kind of is duplicated into templates. But when we actually have some real world information in that template, we can create an actual page from that template, right? So we saw the transition from the atom to into molecules, into organisms, and combining and going one layer above, for example, from atoms, from molecules to organisms to templates, and finally a page. So we are actually starting from the bottom with the lowest possible unit, which is like icons or typography or colors or components, and we're building on top of that. So let's talk about how to build the design system. You can use like 3 approaches to build and use design systems. The first one is adopt an existing design system. The second one is adapt and update or like upgrade an existing design system. And the third one is create your own design system from scratch. Right, so let's look at this chart here, which was provided by Nielsen Normal Group. It says that if you want to adopt a design system which is already existing, it's basically low cost. You don't have to do much customization, and there's little brand differentiation because it's already created by somebody else. The advantage is that you can actually start working on projects and start designing screens from just out of the box. But again, you have to keep in mind that there may be low brand differentiation because somebody else might also be using that same design system. When you want to create your own design system, obviously there's more resources and there's more effort required, so there's a high cost which is associated with that. It offers more customization because you're creating your own and you have the freedom to do anything you want. By creating your own design system, you can differentiate your brand from the rest of the world. So there's clear benefits, but you have to decide at what point your company or your organization or your design team is in terms of the budget, in terms of the efforts, and in terms of the customization that you want to make. So there's no right or wrong choice here. It's just a matter of these factors that you have to keep in mind. So let's see how to build the design system. If you have to make that choice whether you want to basically adopt a design system or adapt an existing one or create your own, I think before doing that, you need to answer some questions. Perform a visual audit of your product. Like if you have an existing product that you're improving, do a visual audit of what needs to be done. Like the first question we need to answer is what exactly needs to be done. The next question is, what's the visual design language that you have for your product or that you want to have for your product, right? So you have to think about the colors that you need, the typography, the spacing between different elements, and also think about the images and the graphics or icons that you're going to use, or the sets of icons that you're going to use, right? This is extremely important in creating or using an existing design system. The next one is, based on the design language that you've kind of identified, you have to create the pattern library that we just spoke about a minute ago. Once you do that, for future reference, you need to document all that work. The pattern library, the individual components, what are the decisions that you made, how it's going to affect, where, on what pages or on what patterns it's going to be used and how it's going to be used. Like, add code snippets if possible for developers so that their work is easy as well. So that's how you go step by step in building a design system. Or if you have an existing design system and you want to tweak that, you need to follow these steps as well. Finally, let's look at some of the examples of some of the brands that have created successful design systems. So the first one on the top is the Google Material IO, which I think is a very popular design system that they've created. The next one is also, like, this is not in a sequential order of popularity or a good example. I'm just listing all the popular ones out here. The next one is the Apple Human Interface Guidelines. I'm going to include the links to all of these examples down in the description if you want to learn more and use those design systems in your products as well. So just click the description and you can find the link in there. The next one is the Microsoft Fluent design system. The Fluent is the name of Microsoft design system. They have their own design system like Google, Apple, Microsoft. The next one is again Uber. They have their own, they created their own design systems because like all of these companies kind of have the resources and the budget to create their own design systems. It has helped them differentiate their brand from rest of the world and hence the success. The next one is Shopify. If you haven't heard about Shopify, click the link down in the description and see their design system. It's quite comprehensive and I'm sure you'll gain some insights into creating design systems from these. The next one is our IBM's Carbon design system. We just saw their example of the components just a minute ago. The next one is MailChimp. Again, we saw an example of their style guides. So be sure to check all of these design systems. I'm sure they'll be helpful in creating your own or using a design system. Let's talk about some of the UI kits that you can use for your projects. Now, this by no means is the only most popular list. There's so many more UI kits available. It also depends on the tool that you are most familiar with, but I think most of them are available for like multiple tools. For example, Untitled UI Kit is available for Figma. They're really popular. They have a free version as well to kind of give you an understanding of what that kit contains. But if you feel comfortable, they have a pro version too with a lot more components, library items. The next one is Ship Faster UI. Again, it goes the same, like they have this UI kit for Figma, and they have a free version and a paid version too. So be sure to check these out. The next one is UI Prep Kit. Again, these are just names that the creators gave, but they are essentially UI kits that you can basically just start using right away. The next one is the Apple iOS 15 UI kit. This one, it's not really provided by Apple. It's compiled by a person, a third party, and they did a really good job of kind of building that UI kit. So be sure to check it out as well. The next one again is Material Design 2 UI kit. This wasn't provided by Google. This is somebody else, third party, who created this. And again, this is a really useful UI kit if you want to design Android apps. If you find a UI kit that has helped you in your projects, please feel free to let the entire community know by adding that in the comments down below. And you'll find the links to all of these UI kits again down in the description. So feel free to open the description and click on the links to go to the UI kits. So that's all for this video. I hope this was helpful, and let me know down in the comments if you have any questions about design systems, if you want to create design systems, or if you're already using design systems. Please add in your 2 cents down in the comments to share it with the entire community so everybody else can get help as well. And if you want to book a one-on-one call with me to go over anything that's on your mind related to user experience or design, I've made it real simple. There's a link down in the description that you can click and book a session, a 30-minute session or a 1-hour session with me. If you have a design idea that in mind that you want to pursue further, if you're stuck in the process and need feedback on your project, or if you're working on your capstone project or your design project or your bootcamp project and need some feedback, click the link and book a call with me. Please subscribe to my channel as it really helps me grow and share more videos for you. Also share this video with all your friends, all your colleagues, all your classmates so they can benefit from creating design systems. They're really important and they'll save a lot of time in the long run. Please leave a like so it helps me. That's just, I'm being selfish here. But thank you so much for watching.